thank you for stopping by yet another edition of the Massachusetts Beer Reviews channel of YouTube. My name is Thomas Metal 75. We are live on St. Patrick's Day 2024. So happy St. Patrick's Day to all of you. And let's get into a Irish themed beer for St. Patrick's Day, because why not? 'Tis the season. And we're going to do a Irish Style Stout. So not from Ireland, but it is an Irish style ale. So it works for today. Irish Style Stout from Atlantic Brewing Company. Save the ales, they say. It's from the Bar Harbor Brewing Heritage Series. This is their Cadillac Mountain Stout. Irish Style Stout, 1 pint. So it is brewed and canned by Atlantic Brewing Company out of Bar Harbor, Maine. And it says best by the 8th of May, 2024. Kind of a little disappointed that they don't list anything about ABV on the can. I don't know how difficult it is to put that standardized information on your canning, but I digress. The Cadillac Mountain Stout is, according to the Atlantic Brewing Company, the AtlanticBrewing.com website, was first introduced in 1990. They're using Nottingham-style yeast, Centennial and Kent Golding hops, pale crystal chocolate, black patent, and roasted malts. A whopping 7%. That is a high ABV for a Irish-style stout. You'll generally find them in the 4 to 5% range. So, wow. And their commercial description on their website says outstanding smoothness and complexity make this a standout Irish style dry stout. Dark with a creamy tan head, full bodied and flavorful without being cloying or heavy, roasty, and just a touch of bitter to finish. Very, very cool stuff. We are going to use the Guinness pint glass for this pouring. And cheers to you, Creative Vibrations with Angie Sullivan. Cheers. I don't believe this is a nitro widget or anything like that, like a Guinness from the can typically has. But in true Irish stout fashion, I will pour hard to get that carbonation charge out of there. Whoa. Nice. There's no surging in this glass. There isn't any of that standardized nitrogen like a Guinness from a glass or from a can would have. But I digress. There's a touch of beer left in the can. Let's take a look at the beer, shall we? It does have a very dark complexion to it. It's probably really, really a super dark red, but it is black in the glass with this nice tan 2-finger head, very frothy looking head. Not quite creamy like a Guinness, or Murphy's, or an O'Hara's, but it looks pretty creamy. Nose is very nice. Nose is got the dryness to it, the roastiness to it. There's a dark chocolate in there. It's very clean smelling. Touch of a pale maltiness. I can get a little bit of that Centennial hop in the background. There is a touch of a pine earthness in the background, which is the only thing that's a little off. But hey, it's an Irish style stout. It's not an Irish stout to a T from Ireland. Touch. I mean, a touch of a dark fruit like a cherry. Some raisins, plums, dark brown toasty bread. Let's give a taste test, shall we? Atlantic Brewing Company Cadillac Mountain Stout. Slàinte and happy St. Patrick's Day to you all out there in YouTube land. Let's give it a taste. Ooh. I'm getting that Centennial hop. I'm getting a little bit of a piney, earthy flavor in the background. Certainly not super hoppy by any means. Not really super bitter. A nice milk chocolatey flavor to this one. I'm getting the dark malts or the dark fruits, some of those plums, and maybe even a dark cherry, but more of the plum and the raisin kind of a note. I am getting that dark roasty malt. I am getting a brown bready malt. Certainly roasty, for sure. Certainly finishes on slightly the bitter side. There is a bit more roastiness. Getting a tiny tin flavor from the can, unfortunately. Nothing too detracting or distracting, really. Where was I on that thought? It's certainly wetter, sweeter than something like a Guinness or a Murphy's, but it's along those same lines for damn sure. I find that sometimes when the Americans brew these beers, these Irish style stouts, they tend to be much more roasty and sweeter, which this one is, but none of that's taken out of proportion. It's very nice. It's a nice contrast to that subtle Centennial hop with the pininess and the earthy flavor there. So very good. Cheers to Bumpyism. Go check out Bumpyisms on YouTube and Creative Vibrations with Angie. But it's a medium bodied beer. It's definitely not as thin and watery as a Guinness, but I would say it's still pretty crisp, still pretty clean for the most part, minus that tin flavor from the can. And it's super refreshing. This is just an anomaly at 7%, though. Holy moly, you're not tasting any of that. You're tasting a full flavored or full bodied beer, if that makes any sense. It's tastes like it's got some calories to it, is what I'm getting at. That was a bigger gulp, and that had more of the Guinness creamy kind of flavor to it. But then the body intensifies towards the finish, and you get the bitterness quality to the beer. So this is very nice. Very, very, very good. The Cadillac Mountain Stout from Atlantic Brewing Company is ranked #1 Irish style or Irish dry stout on Beer Advocate. Holy shit. And it gets a 93 out of 100. Wow. All right. I may not be as kind or gentle to the beer, but this is pretty good for 7% dry Irish stout. It's a little touch of some sediment in there. I give that an 89. I think switching out Centennial hop would be much nicer. Just use your English or whatever kind of hops they use from Ireland. That would be nicer. And a touch drier even. But the way that it stands, how they're utilizing that Centennial hop with the roastier, more malt-driven flavors, it really does balance out very nicely. I just think that if those things were changed about your beer at Atlantic Brewing Company, you'd have even a better beer. But I would never hesitate to pick up this beer if I'm in the mood for a bit of a bigger ABV Irish stout. Yeah, and if I wanted that Irish dry stout flavor from New England, this would be one to gravitate towards. So happy St. Patrick's Day to you all. One last swig. I like those milk chocolatey notes up front. And then you get the roast, and then you get some of the cherry note, the darker cherry, the darker fruits, and the full flavor of the malty base to the beer. So really good. Not 89. Cheers to you all. Happy St. Patrick's Day, the day of the Patrick. Cheers. And until next time, keep tasting those great beers. Slàinte. And we'll see you soon.